Hello Orchid friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my video, my channel is all about orchids. From what orchids I have, how I grow them, my thoughts on certain orchid topics, to what orchids in my collection are blooming, etc. So if you want to follow along my orchid hobby adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on the notification. Today in this video, we're going to take a look at my Phalaenopsis golden Pixie. I think this is a complex hybrid. However, if you have followed my channel for a while, I've made quite a few videos on these when they were in bloom from previous years. You would know this one is a fragrant orchid purchased at my local Trader Joe's. It's a grocery store Phal, but yet it's fragrant. This video, we're going to focus on the very first two golden pixies that I purchased when I was still living in New York City. It was at the Trader Joe's in New York City that I got a hold of these two orchids. They were only maybe 6 of them on display, and then I purchased 2 of them. I think it was $9 or so. They were super fragrant, and I was really surprised that at a grocery store, I was even able to find fragrant Phalaenopsis orchid. I was super amazed. So these two are a little different from the other ones that I have. And the other ones that I have, I will probably do a second or even third video to share with you how they do, because I bought them at different times after I had moved to Texas in America. Which is the southern portion, and the environment is much different, and but they are still super fragrant when they're in flower. So back to these two. These two are probably what I would call more pluric, because if you look at the petals on top, they're not quite the same as, you know, regular Phalaenopsis orchid with oval shape of petals. So I think these are pluric, and compared to the other ones that I have, which are more rounded, these ones, their petals and sepals seems to be slightly more on the pointy side. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, the fragrance and the pattern, the dots on the flowers, they all look really, really similar. And the roots and the leaves, they all have exactly the same type of characteristics. So I think it's just, you know, this particular cross just happened to be pluric, and I have 2 of them. They're still currently potted in the original bark chips and sphagnum moss media, which is the original one. I have never repotted this orchid, so it's been well over 2 years now, and this year I'm thinking maybe I will give it a repot, because, you know, it's been at least 2.5 years, and I'm thinking the media is probably due for some refresh. However, depending on how it does with its flower spike, because if they're still green and if they're still shooting out really, really nice roots inside or outside the media, I may postpone the repot. And another reason I'm not sure if I want to repot this year is that I look at the chips, the bark chips and the sphagnum moss, they seems to be still okay. And the reason I say that is I've never really kept them really, really super moist. I like to give these orchids, well, most of my orchids anyways, really, really distinctive wet-dry cycle. So, and for Phalaenopsis orchids, even after the media is becomes completely dry, I would just let them be dry for a couple of days until the next watering. And if the weather was nice, I will give them some water. So I keep them rather dry, on the more dry side. Because otherwise, you know, I would have had to repot this orchid much sooner, because bark chips and sphagnum moss, they're organic media, and if you just keep them moist all the time, they'll probably break down much sooner. But I look at what's happening inside the pod, and then I use my finger to kind of feel it, I think the bark chips are still okay, so I'm hesitant to do a repot because, you know, if they're still performing, they're blooming, I don't know if I want to disturb the root system. But with that said, I do have 2 of them, right? I actually have more, but pluric ones, let's just say that they're pluric. For pluric ones, I have 2. So potentially, I can even do an experiment. I can repot one of them and keep the other one as is and see how they do and how different they behave as time goes on. And see if they would, you know, continue to give me flowers reliably like they have always been. So we'll see. Let me know what you think. Should I do this experiment or should I just repot both of them at the same time? Because, you know, it definitely has been 2.5 years since I purchased them. So there is a big chance that the media is probably almost, you know, I think it's, you know, its expiration date is probably coming up very soon. Okay, so I like to use, for new orchids that I purchase from grocery store, unless I repot them right away, otherwise I like to put them in this 16-ounce container. In a way, it kind of serves as a cup that I can use to soak them in, but then also it provides that additional wall, if you will, to kind of separate out potential pests from crawling onto my other orchids. I know it's not bulletproof, but it's working pretty well for me. And also this plastic cup also retains moisture a little bit more, because if you look closer, the inner pot has a lot of holes on the sides, which is great, but in my environment I find that to be a little bit too much holes. I think it's too ventilated that they get dry, the media gets dry too quickly. So adding a cup like this really helps retain the moisture slightly longer. So far they're doing really good. I only fertilize these 2 orchids with quarter strength fertilizer, and once a month at least I would give them just pure water so that they can be soaked in pure water to dissolve or flush away any salt buildup or any kind of breakdown pieces from the moss or bark chips. Overall, I think they're doing really great. So both of them had produced or elongated the old spikes with more buds, and then they both also have produced a new flower spike at the beginning of 2019. So I am just very thrilled that these 2 pluric golden pixies are such reliable bloomers, and you know, for $9 each at a grocery store, you just can't beat that. So if you want to, you know, give your local Trader Joe's a try, if there is one near you, I recommend that you go on Saturday morning. At least for the ones in my area, they get their new orchid shipments on Saturday morning. And try to get there after 11, because sometimes if you go like at 10, they're not ready for you. The orchid rack is still pretty empty. And before I close this video, I just want to let you know that for 4 of these golden pixies, I got them in early springs, and there's only one time where I got 2 additional golden pixies in September, I believe, in my area. So it's spring or fall. So I suspect that these are either spring or fall bloomers. But you never know, because nowadays a lot of orchids are grown in commercial orchid greenhouses, and they can be tricked into bloom and induced into blooming with, you know, very, very good calculated orchid industry intelligence. So give your local Trader Joe's a try if you're interested in this kind of orchid. I wish you luck. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification.
I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!